I like barbecue chips.
Yeah, so you like barbecue.
Barbecue chips, but I don't know about the sauce though.
You don't like barbecue sauce? No, you didn't. So Pete, you'll enjoy this. We got stubs that I was hankering for just something spicy in my mouth before. So while we're cooking, I just went straight from the Stubbs bottle.
Like drank,
Yeah,
like drank
barbecue.
spicy barbecue sauce out of the Stubbs bottle.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Why?
I was hungry. I was cooking. Anyway,
That's
okay.
that's not a food. You said you're hungry. That's not a food.
No carbs in it.
What?
There are carbs in it.
You drank barbecue sauce.
Yeah. All right. Red Sox.
Is that how we're starting? Yeah. Welcome to Sip Talk. I have my brother with me, and I have.
Oh shit! Syndergaard to the Dodgers.
Is that just breaking news? Do we just break news on Sip Talk?
That's breaking news.
Boston Sports Quarter breaking some news.
Or yeah, I was gonna say. Well, yeah. So Boston Sports Gordo is with us. Nat Gordon. Nat, how are you?
Good guys, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. I couldn't give two shits about the Red Sox. I just enjoy laughing at you guys because you think that, oh, like we're not buying anyone and you're a bunch of suckers because ownership couldn't give two shits about you people.
Yeah, they don't seem to care. That's pretty obvious at this point.
You're just realizing
It's
this
one
now.
of several things.
They never cared.
No, they cared. It was a while ago, but they cared. At a certain point, I feel like the John Lester situation was kind of the borderline as to when the Red Sox were like their top priority and they came into Boston with a boom and everyone loved them. And then the John Lester thing happened and then they bought Liverpool and slowly but surely you started to hear less from them. And now all of a sudden we haven't seen them in years and they're letting star players go and everyone hates them and they don't show their faces around town at all.
Do you think there's do you think that they just give Bloom a budget and say work with this, or do you think that for each individual free agent that's over a certain amount, for like Bogarts, so like, yeah, fuck them, we don't want them.
I think that they tell Bloom that he can spend a lot on a year-to-year basis, but that they don't like 7+ year contracts. I know owners get involved when contracts hit a certain point. Like if you're spending 70+ million all the way up to like the Correa deal, anywhere in between there, like owners are getting involved and they're going to approve it. But I feel like ownership is comfortable spending on a year-to-year basis, but they've just been bitten so bad by some of these long-term contracts. It just feels like they want to try to assemble the best team possible without giving those out. And they see Chaim Bloom put together winners in Tampa with no money and year-to-year contract guys plus minor league call-ups. If he can build a winner there with that, like why can't he do it here on a $200+ million year-to-year budget? I think that's their thinking. It hasn't really happened yet,
Do you
but
think
I think they think it's possible.
part of the problem though, I feel like, is there's been so much, I mean, year over year, there's just so much more information and analytics that come out. Perhaps he was just at the forefront of it 5-10 years ago when he was getting started in the industry with Tampa. And at this point, everyone knows it's like Moneyball, right? Like Billy Bean, yep, this great innovator. He can't do anything now.
No, you're dead right, Sip, because I mean, I feel like back in the day when we were in high school, like it was if the Rays get a hold of a guy, and then back then it was like if the Pirates get a hold of a pitcher, like we always like did double take. But nowadays it's like, oh, Houston's got the pitching factory, Baltimore's got the pitching factory, the Dodgers have the pitching factory, the Yankees scoop up guys for cheap and they turn into really good players. Like tons of teams have that really valuable brain trust in their front office now. It's not just Bloom, it's not just the Rays, and the Rays have spread their management all throughout the league. Like these guys got hired everywhere. Like the Astros were built by a Rays guy and he just got fired, but that team was built by a Rays guy, and the Dodgers are built by a Rays guy. Like these guys are all over the place now.
Right, exactly. So it completely takes away whatever competitive advantage you're getting. So at the end of the day, you're still going to have to buy these free agents, and especially when you're Boston and you make this amount of money. And like let's not beat around the bush. Our ownership group is not towards the lower end of yearly income and assets. They could be making these. They could be spending. They just don't seem to be. And again, I don't like that. Like I feel like the Correa contract, like Like that's crazy. I don't want
It's
to be
just such a weird trend.
it
Like
isn't
why all of a sudden our teams like before, and it's certainly what the Red Sox have aimed to do is we'll pay you more per year if we can get you off the books when you're like 34 or 35, 36, as opposed to 38, 39, 40. Now all these other teams are saying we'll give you more total money on the contract as long as you keep the annual value down. And we'll give you all these years and pump up the total value. But yeah, we just want to pay you less on an annual basis to win now.
Obviously, the players want their guaranteed money for a long period of time. Like Correa is like, he's done. He's cool. 13 years. Yeah, I'm good. And
And then I'll retire.
I think a lot of owners make these deals because I think a lot of these owners don't think that they will be paying the back half of those deals. I think a lot of owners think this is going to be someone else's problem. Like San Francisco, San Diego, sure. We'll pay him now. Let's try to win now. By the back half of this contract, I don't know how old these owners are. I'm assuming a lot of them are old. They either might be dead, they might have already sold the team. It's fucking California, so the stadium could have burned down or gone underwater, whichever one goes first. I think they have landslides now. Texas signing long-term deals. They might not be part of the country during the back half of those deals. Like I think a lot of these owners just make these deals like, oh, you want to have your money now? Cool. Like players, like let's sign them for a long-term deal. Players are happy that they don't even have to try to play baseball anymore because their money is now guaranteed. And the owners think, yeah, I'm in win now mode. This is my little toy, but 13 years, I'm not paying for all of that. That's going to be someone else's problem.
when you look at the Angels, remember though, it wasn't just Pujols. They signed Josh Hamilton and CJ Wilson as well. Maybe one was traded. Anyway, but like,
no, you're right.
The Pujols deal was, I'm going to say, arguably the worst contract in Major League history. He did nothing.
He did nothing. He did nothing for the team, but you look at the amount, and now that amount is
Chris Davis. Oops. That might be worse.
Who? Chris Davis
with a C, not a K.
Yeah. At least Pujols was like somewhat of a positive player for some of the deal. Chris Davis was like the ultimate worst player in the league for the entirety of that contract.
Did you see that the deferred payments start, I believe, this year? $9 million a year for the next 4 years, and then like 1.3 million a year for the next like 10 after that.
I never understood why these teams insist on deferred payments.
Because they don't think it's going to be their problem.
I suppose, but in Chris Davis's case, it's their problem, and I'm trying to think of some others. Scherzer's getting deferred payments right now from the Nationals, but soon to be not their problem. So there you go.
And he got a ton of deferred payments.
It's true. He did.
Guys, I have a conspiracy about Fenway Sports Ownership Group, and I think it's why they're not spending as much as they could.
Tell me.
First off, they're trying to sell Liverpool right now. Liverpool will be sold. They're not looking to dish out these big money guaranteed contracts. No. And they're also not looking to fill up the seats of Fenway Park. Not because they're going to tear it down. No. Fenway Park is staying. But the Red Sox will not be playing at Fenway Park after 2025. Notice the 2026 All-Star game has been set. 2024 All-Star game has been set, not 2025. MLB All-Star game, Fenway Park, one last hurrah. They're planning on, there might be a stadium being built somewhere in Boston, maybe somewhere East Boston. That's not a soccer stadium, my friends. That's a baseball stadium. Red Sox are moving to Fenway Park. Fenway Park will still stand. It'll be this historic building for multi-use that's still owned by Fenway Sports Ownership Group. They're just not putting in the day-to-day operations of running a baseball team there. It'll be used for concerts, Frozen Fenway, the probably at this point 7th annual inaugural Wasabi Fenway Bowl. The Wasabi Fenway Bowl will be part of Boston culture because it will be at this historic venue. You have the MGM Music Hall that they've built there that they owned. Fenway, Kenmore, that's theirs, and that's going to be their mixed-use entertainment district. But the Red Sox, they're playing in Boston in a brand new stadium alongside another stadium because they're out here trying to sell Liverpool, but they don't want to spend big money in Boston. Now, why is that? John Henry failed at making a super league. He wanted the Super League because Liverpool does not have guaranteed money because they're not guaranteed in Champions League every year. They could technically get relegated. No. They want something that is guaranteed money, guaranteed TV contracts where they can never get relegated. They want to be part of this big money club that will never go away. They're not looking at British football, my friend. They're looking at good old-fashioned American football. And mark my words, by the end of the decade, John Henry will be the owner of the New England Patriots. And the New England Patriots will be playing in Boston. And if not in Boston, at least the practice facility will be in Boston. Now, you might be thinking that's so crazy how, yes, he's taking control over Massachusetts and New England, but this Pittsburgh thing is kind of weird. That's kind of an outlier. No. Because Pittsburgh, they just wanted a hockey team. But they don't give a shit about Pittsburgh. Because they are bringing the Pittsburgh Penguins to Hartford, Connecticut. And by the end of the decade, the Pittsburgh Penguins will also turn into the Hartford Whalers. So let's do a quick little recap. Boston Red Sox will have a new stadium by the end of the decade. Fenway will still be standing, but it'll be for mixed-use entertainment. The New England Patriots will either be playing in Boston or have a practice facility in Boston because John Henry will be the owner of the New England Patriots. And Fenway Sports ownership will move the Pittsburgh Penguins to Hartford and bring back the Whalers. And that is why they did not re-sign Xander Bogaerts.
Now, Pete, you said we only have 40 minutes. Do you think that was the best use of our time?
Yes.
Pete, I have a question for you.
You guys can do whatever. Oh, okay, sure.
If they're leaving Fenway Park to play in a different stadium, and they're going to use Fenway Park as a multi-purpose venue, then why did they just attach a big-ass concert venue to the back of it?
Multi-use. It's a concert venue.
But if they're leaving, if they're not going to use the baseball field, then that's the concert venue.
No, because some concerts you have at the MGM, and some concerts you have at, like, you're not going to put Elton John in the MGM one. Elton John's going to be on Fenway.
No, he's going to be in Foxborough, which apparently now is also owned by John Henry.
But you know, when who kids listen to these days, when Lorde comes to, Lorde's not performing at Fenway Park. Lorde's performing at the MGM.
I feel like Lorde would perform at Fenway Park.
Lorde is not performing at Fenway Park. At a rugby pitch, maybe, not Fenway Park. Maybe at a tennis court.
Anyway, at least we got a guy named Yoshi. That's exciting.
Yeah, I think they're introducing him tomorrow. That'll be kind of interesting. He needs to be good.
Well, that's the thing about this thing. I put out the starting lineup in the rotation and the pen, and like you look at it, it's not as bad as like I thought, and you really only look like you're two pieces away.
They are.
But if Story, Sale, and Yoshi are not all-star caliber players, this team is going to be trash.
Yeah, right now they're in a spot where like every single thing has to go right. Like Sale has to be healthy the whole way and be really good, and Yoshi has to be like a 300 hitter, and Verdugo has to take a next step forward, and Story has to be the Trevor Story from a couple of years ago, and like a bunch of stuff has to happen. There's no margin for error. Like,
so why do we
Kenley's got to lock down every save?
So why do we sign Chris Martin for $8 million a year?
The only explanation I can think of for why they put so much money into the pen is that they're not done. Like that has to be it. Like there's no way. And I know they're not done, but like, is it not done? Like, oh, they're going to get like Gene Segura to play second base and they move Story to short. Or is it like, oh, they're going to go like trade like for Willie Adames or something and like actually get people on their toes. Like is
Willie Adames
kind of two
in higher regard than Gene Segura at this point?
Yeah, big time.
Oh,
Adames is a stud. Segura's kind of bad.
I feel like the problem is that everything has to go right. And you're saying like Kenley has to have a healthy heart, which, you know, could be good. Boston, low altitude. However, Boston, low altitude. Will Trevor Story be the old Trevor Story? It's kind of a give and take. You're also counting on Chris Sale to pitch well, be healthy, and actually play baseball. I mean, like, look, Nike keeps making all these new different uniforms. Like Chris Sale might cut up 2 of them. Like you're naming these guys who I forgot play baseball. I've not seen Chris Sale, and when's the last time Chris Sale pitched?
He did start 2 games this year.
Oh wow, 2 games.
He started 1 game, looked pretty good, and then made his second start. And I'm pretty sure it was Aaron Hicks hits a line drive off his hand and breaks his hand. They thought maybe he could come back, but then he went for a bike ride and fell off his bike and broke his other wrist. So now he's like double cast, like Edward 40 hands, like
Glass skin and paper hands.
More like Edward Scissorhands.
So do we sign Rodon? Maybe we should do that.
They're not going to do it.
No, definitely not.
I have no idea what they're going to do, but I think Rodon is in line for like close to 200 million at this point, at least 150.
We'll sign Nate Eovaldi again.
That I think that might be the path. They're just going to hope like it's the same quote unquote rotation, but like Chris Sale wasn't in that rotation. James Paxton wasn't in that rotation.
Big
like
Maple.
Whitlock and Houck, who are both supposed to be starters, were not in the rotation. Like Eovaldi missed half the year. So like it is the same rotation. I wish I had the stat in front of me, but it was like I think we had like 60 or more games that were started by like Winkowski and Cutter Crawford and Connor Siebold and Rich Hill. And it's like if you can just wipe all of those games out and have competent pitchers starting those games, that's a lot better right there. And then obviously the bullpen can be better.
If James
Huge if.
What you just described as baseball. Yeah, if we have good pitching, we'll win games. Oh, what a concept.
But like last year, the hope was that these guys would be healthy, and they weren't. And we had a terrible starting rotation because of it. There were times when they were healthy last year. Like I'm pretty sure it was June.
They looked okay.
They were healthy. And the rotation was pitching really well. Like we didn't even talk about Nick Pivetta. He at that time was pitching like at that time though he wasn't. He started off bad, and then he had like a month and a half or something where he was like, I mean, I remember we were getting close to the All-Star break, and I was hyping up the Nick Pivetta should make the All-Star team train.
He went 10-12 with
and then of course he fell apart. Go look at his month-to-month splits. Pull those up.
Yeah, that's why I need someone to. Pete, can you give me some time here?
You want me to fill with
Yeah,
what?
I don't know.
I already gave you conspiracy theories. I don't know what you want me to fill with.
He had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, probably like 10 to 11 good starts this year.
Weren't they like in a row too? Because
Yeah.
like he was terrible for the majority of the season.
Yeah, from May 18th to June 29th, he lost 1 game.
Yeah, and then at that time it was like,
And then he went 5
think it was-
2/3 with 7 runs against Tampa, 3 1/3, 6 runs against the Yankees, 4 1/3, 7 runs against the Yankees.
yeah, that's the issue is the teams that see him a lot crush him. Like the AL East wrecked him last year.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure his stats outside the AL East were like, I'm pretty sure he had to have had a below 3.5 ERA against non-AL East teams.
Here, you want his ERA by month?
Yes.
April, May 8.27, May 2.11, June 2.25, July 9.38, August 4.08, September, October 5.29.
Yeah, that's how I remember it.
0-3 with a 9.38 over 24 innings, 25 runs in 24 innings.
I think he'd be a really effective reliever if they got enough starting pitching to push him down to the bullpen. Like, do you remember 2 years ago in the playoffs? Like he was coming out the pen and just mowing down the Rays.
Yeah.
Like he was terrific.
All right. Do you want to know his Yankee stats here?
Tell me.
5 starts, 23 innings, 25 earned runs, 9.51 ERA, 10 home runs in 23 innings.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Check the Rays too. I feel like the Rays
19 innings.
I think the
15
Orioles
runs.
Yeah.
4 starts. Toronto.
What about
4
the Blue
starts,
Jays?
19 innings, 13 runs, 5.95. He owned the A's though. He had a .6, 15 innings, 1 run. Anyway, okay, let's stop talking about Nick Pivetta. What else we got? What's the next move, Gordo?
They've got like 40-something million until they hit that tax line. And now that Bogarts is gone, like I think I was telling you, Sip, like a week ago, or actually it was the same night that they signed Yoshi. So it was in between when they got Yoshi and Bogarts left. I was totally convinced they were about to jump over the tax because I was convinced that Bogarts was about to be back. If Bogarts was back, they would have had like 10 to 15 million to spend until the tax line, and they would have had multiple holes to fill. But now that Bogarts is gone and like they didn't sign any of the other shortstops, and it doesn't look like they're going to sign Swanson, which by the way, I would hate it if they signed Dansby Swanson. The stat I keep throwing at people on Twitter anytime anyone tries to tell me that they want him is that in his 6 full major league seasons, so not counting his like 30 games as a rookie, he's been a below average hitter 4 out of the 6 seasons if you go by OPS plus. Like literally below average for 4 out of 6 seasons. Like why would you pay a guy like that
For the hair.
180 million or whatever he's going to get? It's the hair and it's the defense. Like I mean, maybe they sign one of the mid-tier starters like Evaldi or something. I don't know, but I think you're gonna see this roster filled out via trade. And I honestly can't tell you which way I think it's gonna go. But after talking with Rob Bradford last night, I'm less and less inclined to believe that they're going to trade like one of their top 5 prospects. Like I don't think you're going to see them go out
transitioning if they're just transitioning right now. And I'm totally fine if they're doing that. Like if they're not in win now mode, I'm totally cool with that. And I think fans should be totally fine with that. If they just want to trade some of their not albatross contracts, but if they want to get prospects back for their players, I'm more than happy that they do that. But you can't then be acting like you're this giant team right now. You know, like you have to.
I agree.
Put a crappy product on the field, more deals. Let's go.
I've always thought fans, when their teams are honest with them and tell them that they're in a rebuild, fans kind of embrace it. Like they may not show up to the park as often, but like they're not going to freak out at you. Like Philly 76ers fans were saying trust the process for years, while their team just came in last every year and they were more than okay with it. Like
and that's not even. I mean,
you just have to pick a direction,
right? In baseball, is definitely harder to do that because the draft, where you pick, just doesn't really matter.
And the guys take forever to get up there too.
Right, exactly. But again, like
you're not getting a franchise-altering player that's going to come in and change your team right the next year. Like you're going to have to wait. Marcelo Meyer's a high schooler, and when he'll be up like 4 years, 3.5 to 4 years after he was drafted.
Right.
Like
if you're not going to re-sign Xander Bogaerts, why didn't you trade him? Why didn't we trade JD Martinez? Like
because they still wanted to have you guys show up at the park, have you guys still overpaying for tickets for the product that you guys were seeing. And like that's the problem, is that they didn't buy, but they didn't sell. Like they want to have their cake, but they want to eat it too. They still want to be, we're this historic franchise, the Boston Red Sox. No, they're dicking you guys over. The product's going to be mediocre at best, unless they really start making some moves. They're not being honest with you. You have season ticket reps texting my brother over here every single day, like he's accidentally enrolled in Scientology, promoting this gospel that isn't true, saying that, oh, we're competing.
Can I tell you the issue?
They're not.
Can I tell you the issue? And they absolutely should have traded Xander Bogaerts and traded JD Martinez and traded Nathan Evaldi, gotten out of the luxury tax, all of that. The issue came from the Braves winning the World Series 2 years ago, because they were like a 500 team at the trade deadline. They didn't like buy anything significant, but they brought in a bunch of guys to completely remake their outfield, and they got to the playoffs and they caught lightning in a bottle and they won the World Series. And everyone right now thinks as long as you get into the playoffs, you have a chance to win the World Series. And we saw that again with the Phillies this year. The Red Sox at the time of the trade deadline were not completely dead. They figure, okay, like the percentage isn't super high, but if you get in, you have a chance. And then the other
with an
issue,
expanded playoff, you're not getting in because that division was really good. Like look around.
They were at the time only like a few games out of the wild card. Like if you get hot, you're going to get in. But unfortunately,
but you're not going to get hot if you don't do anything. Like you still have to get, even with an expanded playoff, you have to get hot to get in.
Agreed.
I think they didn't make any attempt to get in.
Their attempt was trading for Tommy Pham. They traded for Tommy Pham and Reese McGuire and Eric Hosmer and thought, you know what, we'll see. And to be honest with you, I'm okay in most years if they say we'll see. But when you've got guys like important franchise players coming off the books, and draft pick compensation at stake and losing guys for nothing at stake, you have to take matters into your own hands and get what you can for them while you can get anything for them.
Look,
and I think that they thought that they could re-sign Xander Bogaerts, but the market was just so far from what they thought it was going to be. Like I heard Alex Spears saying something about this today, where he said that the Red Sox just didn't think the market was going to be where it is. And I think they thought they legitimately could retain Xander Bogaerts at that 160 number that they offered him, but they were very far from right on that.
Again, I couldn't give a shit about whether the Red Sox make the playoffs, don't make the playoffs, what the record is, whatever. What I care about are people in Boston getting bamboozled by these people in the front office and in ownership, and are still going to make them overpay for tickets. And it's tough when I would say this is a very specific problem for, I would say, the Red Sox and maybe the Cubs, is that you, even during the dog days of summer, you are still going to have somewhat of a ticket price value be higher than it should because of traveling fans, because you are a tourist destination for baseball fans. Like, it is such a Boston specific problem that you have all these people traveling. There's always going to be people in Fenway Park, and the Red Sox can still say it's because we're the Red Sox, and they continue to keep pricing people out. Being in DC, I can go to a Nats game for $10 and drink because I'm young and I just want to have fun and watch some baseball. Like, you can't really do that in Boston. And unless you are like, hey, we're sellers. This is going to be a crap product, but have fun at the ballpark. But they're not being so aggressive enough where they're actually legitimate competitors. They're just in limbo in the middle and are banking on the brand name, and that rich people from in-state or out of state are always going to come to the games.
It's going to be really interesting this year, I think, where there are two other teams that are, I mean, not to jinx anything, but they are probably going to be playing in late May and June. Like, it would be, I think, very surprising to a lot of people if the Celtics and Bruins are not playing in June. So with that being said, are sports fans and people who are looking for an outing going to spend the dollars on Celtics and Bruin tickets when the weather gets nicer, or are they going to go out to Fenway Park and freeze their asses off in April and May? And I think Fenway Park is going to be a ghost town, at least for the beginning of it, before school gets out. Because tickets didn't really sell before that anyway. Like, those are the cheapest games to go to are games before and after school's out. But you've just added two more teams, and they have a much more limited capacity, and they're going to be really good in the playoffs. So I think this might, I'm not in the minds of John Henry in the ownership, but I bet it's going to be eye-opening to them when no one's buying tickets, no one's buying concessions, no one's there. Because I can't imagine a year that's going to be more empty than the first half of this upcoming season.
Well, listen, if I think it's fair to expect the stadium to be empty during September of a last place season. If anything is going to open their eyes, it's empty seats in May. Empty seats in, like, if the park isn't sold out over the summer. The fact of the matter is, you're right. Like, the Celtics and Bruins are going to be playing into the summer, and even if people aren't going to those games, what would you rather do? Would you rather watch a potential championship team play a playoff game on TV, or would you rather go to Fenway Park and in the cold in April and May and watch your last place Boston Red Sox? So yeah, if they don't, and I do really think that this offseason is still far from over. I do think they're going to fill out the roster. I don't know with what. I don't know if we're going to like it. There are going to be changes, but if they lose games, if they finish April under 500, no one is going to show up in May. It's just not, like, the park. Like, people are so fed up at this point. It's just, you're not going to see people at Fenway Park when there's better things to watch in town, when it seems like ownership doesn't care. And that's the perception.
And I'm sorry, but even after a hopeful Celtics championship run, and then what if the Celtics make the finals again? Like, June? Like, are we, if the Bruins make a run to the cup, like you're into June now, not just early June, like you're potentially into mid to late June, and people only have so much capacity for getting emotionally invested in, one sporting team, let alone two who could potentially be in the conference finals, finals of their respective leagues. And if you're not good, and if you're not good enough early, if you don't have this energy coming into your team by June, even after the Celtics and Bruins are done, you're not emotionally invested. And if tickets are still overpriced, then you're not going to go. And I don't blame them. And again, like there's this overarching issue of, well, if tickets still aren't like relatively affordable, and I am a young person living in Boston, I'm already overpaying in housing costs, I'm overpaying in transit costs, I'm overpaying in food costs for my apartment, let alone food costs at a sporting event in concessions. Why would I go to that when I can go to Trillium, night shift, hang out with my friends? I can overpay somewhere else. I could potentially save money by not going to Fenway Park. Like going to a Red Sox game is one of the more expensive outings a young person can do in Boston. So I don't see how this is a sustainable formula for getting people to get in the seats or continue to go into the seats, which is why the Red Sox are going to build a new baseball stadium and Fenway Park's going to be mixed use entertainment. I'm telling you.
Or Pete,
Just
I've got a
wait.
better idea. Sell the team.
To who, you?
Sell the team. Well, so here's the thing. But if they sell the team, Fenway Park's getting demolished.
No, sell the team to people. Let's just have
sell the team to the people. 50% ownership to the city of Boston taxpayers. Yes, haha, fan ownership. You read me like a book order, but that would never happen because we don't live in Europe. Because we have this Americanized model. So no, they're just going to sell it to the highest bidder. And then they go, oh, this place is an old dump. Let's build a new baseball stadium. No one goes to the games anyway.
When they bought the team, they were the winning bidder because they were the ones who said that they weren't going to build a new stadium. I know it's asking for a lot.
You think they're going to do the same thing?
Do the same thing. Sell it to a deep pockets high bidder who's been a Red Sox fan since he was 8.
We're not going to keep going.
Give me Boston Steve Cohen. There's got to be one of them out there.
Stevie Cohen.
Got to be someone.
All the rich people in Boston are dorks. They don't like sports. No, what you need to do is you need
Dorks
to sell
love
it to the
baseball.
people. You need to sell it to Eddie, who would never tear down Fenway.
If to buy the team, you need to do 2 things: commit to spending and don't tear down Fenway Park, and you'll be loved even if you don't win World Series, as long as you at least show that you're trying.
About being loved. They don't care about being loved. They just want the money. If John Henry cared about being loved, he would be at the games.
If John Henry cared about being loved, he never would have gone into the sports industry. What are you talking about? They don't know how to feel love. That's why they're sports owners.
People in this town, and honestly in America, just don't know how to force the hand the way the Super League got shut down in like a week.
Yeah, exactly. And because Europeans
we have never tried anything like that.
All right, let's go on strike. I'm Pete Tsipis. This is Sip Talk. Thanks for listening.